Look here, guys. We just did an all-staff, 2 weeks ago?
Yep.
We kind of dropped a bomb on the team. We said, guys, we know that you're obsessed with our 5 core values as a company, and we know that you all know them.
By heart.
But we're going to simplify. And we changed our core values from 5 to 3.
That's right.
Why would we do that? You might be asking. Well, here's the thing.
Greetings, internet airwaves world. Cheers to you with this beautiful cup from Yield. My name is Ross Walters. I'm one of the founders and podcast stars of Valor Coffee, coming at you here on a Wednesday with a beautiful podcast ahead where we talked about the fact that we changed our core values from 7. We had 7 different ones starting out. We had 5. And then we just had an all staff where we announced that we just have 3 now. And we listed all these ways that these core values are expressed in our company. I hope that it is inspiring to you to not copy our values necessarily, but think about for you, what are your core values and what would be your operating system to run your company. So buckle up for that. More on this later, but we have some friends and sponsors over at Third Wave Water. See, look. Right here, Third Wave Water. There's some insane deals that you can get using our code. We'll talk about that later. And then Local Eyes Growth, our friends that specialize in SEO, search engine optimization. You'll hear about that later. And then also the Valor Coffee community, which is an online platform geared towards people in the coffee industry. We just lowered the price for all of our resources and courses down to $7.99. So you've got your free tier, and then you've got your $7.99 tier that gives you access to all of our courses and resources and spreadsheets and videos and all that sort of stuff too. Last thing, Clive Coffee. You guys buy stuff on Clive, and that's pretty cool because we get a little kickback from your purchase, which supports the program. We're 3 small business entrepreneur guys with families to feed, so I appreciate that. If you use code VALOR5 at checkout, you get 5% off Malkonig, Eureka, and Anfum grinders. Anfum makes some good stuff. So pop on over there to Clive and buy your coffee gear. Without further ado, let's get to the show. Thank you so much.
Hey, cheers, guys. Welcome aboard
to another day.
Toot toot. It's good to be here in sunny Alpharetta, Georgia.
Beautiful. Balmy. What's balmy? Balmy.
You're looking at it, man.
We're in the balmy era.
I had no comment.
We're in our balmy era.
Welcome to the balmy area. Hey, my name's Ethan. That's Ross. That's Riley.
For you, those of you listening.
Yeah, welcome to our podcast. Man, what a good day in Valor history.
That's right.
Shout out to Ross's hat, because some wonderful people at Culture Apparel sent us a bunch of stuff.
That's right. Did they send a note or anything?
They sent a very hard to read note. Who knows what happened in transport with weather, and could have been.
It's just that Sharpie on the postcard material. We've been there. We've been there.
We literally have been there.
Yeah,
the gloss
could have been too balmy or something, but
a little too balmy.
They said something like, "Thank you, you're epic. Here's some swag." And now I'm saying, "Thank you, you're epic. Thank you for the swag."
This hat is one of the best designed hats I've ever.
You like the structure?
I love the 5-panel vibe, but it has a little structure.
Which panel is your favorite?
Probably the front, just because it's the one that I see the most. But the front wouldn't work without the other panels, so those are also important too.
And that's kind of where we're going today.
Someone commented,
panels.
I believe it was Chris Olson, commented on last week's YouTube video and said, Ross talking about culture while wearing a culture hat, and then like the mind blown emoji.
Wow.
That was good.
Didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Hope that guy's doing great. I need to call him.
Yeah,
he's out in East Peoria, Illinois.
Oh,
Reverence Coffee.
come on.
Multi-roaster out there. Right next to a Costco.
Let's go.
If you're ever in the area.
Just look for Costco.
Just look for Costco, and then you'll be there.
That's kind of a go-to move, being near Costco. People go far and wide for Costco.
Let's talk about Costco.
And why?
Do you think that Costco intentionally poorly designs their parking lots?
I know that they're smarter than me, but I'm having a really hard time thinking about the advantage of that.
Same.
Why do you think they're poorly designed?
I have just...
Or how are they poorly designed?
Think about the Costco's you have been to.
Okay, I'm there.
Do any of them have a good parking lot?
I mean, I always get the job done, meaning I always park and then go in.
The one in Woodstock, it has a back entrance that you can see. For me, the apex of the entrance is all the cars meet right where all the people go in.
Oh yeah,
and it's brutal.
And that is every Costco,
right?
So that, I guess that's my point.
Costco, we need to hear from you. You can send us an email at info@valor.coffee. We hope to hear from you. Thank you. Is there anyone else you guys want to hear from? You just want to call out?
Man.
Hey, I would just say we don't have any questions to get to. I love when people send in questions to the podcast.
Me too.
Not that we don't have a wealth of knowledge, expertise, experience, and counsel to offer. But having some people showcase their curiosity goes a long way. So thank you.
Also, if there's any specific topic that people want to hear from us on, then comment that below, because we'd love to steer this podcast into a direction that'd be helpful for our loyal listener base.
We don't do a lot of little activities, but I have a little activity I want to do soon. I want to get a taste tester thing and see if any of us are super tasters live on air.
Cool. That's a great idea, Ethan. I love that.
Ross, let's just keep pointing out things on your person. I see you got a bracelet. Did Giselle make that for you?
She didn't make it, but she does have this whole bag of WWJD bracelets. And she always really likes to make sure that I have one on.
Nice.
She's looking out, man.
She's trying to keep me grounded. And I appreciate that. Anything else you want to point out?
Oh, I see you voted.
I did vote. Yeah. I did my civic duty.
Do you think other people should vote?
I think other people should vote.
I guess this podcast is going to be coming out on Monday. So, we'll have one more day to go.
One more day. I was walking out of the library and I was just thinking, if you complain about the country, but you don't vote, what are you doing? Got to get out and vote, you know? So it felt good to do that. So I thought I'd rep
your epic sticker,
my Georgia voter sticker.
Awesome. Coffee tattoo.
That's right. Hey, and I also have something to say about the community. The Valor Coffee community is an online platform that we launched 2 months ago. I think, I need to know the exact number. I think we're getting close to 400 members. And we still have only talked about the community on the podcast. We haven't put it on Instagram. We haven't sent out a newsletter. We haven't done any mass texting or even calling, like a call system.
Cold call system.
Like cold call.
Is this Shelly? Hey, this is Ethan from Valor.
We haven't done any of that. It's only been on the podcast. So I'm really impressed by all of our members in this very niche industry of specialty coffee. The community exists to unite and elevate the coffee industry. And on the unite side, you have all of these channels and sections of the community, such as the Cafe Leaders Forum, such as Coffee Cart Forum. There's a roaster forum, and you have a bunch of people that are specific to that niche, in our niche, that are all talking about their daily work. And all topics relevant to those things. So you get all of that for free in the community if you just sign up at the top link in our or in the description, rather, of this podcast. But the rest, the Elevate, are all resources that we have created using the knowledge that we have accrued from running 2 cafes since 2019. We're not claiming to know everything, but we're sharing what we know from running those operations, and also helping a bunch of wholesale partners run their coffee shops. So it's everything from a course that is a Barista 101 course where you have a 7-part series of everything from how to pull espresso, dialing in espresso, steaming milk, latte art, making drinks, bar flow. If I was opening a coffee shop and I had access to that, I would use the mess out of that. I'd use it. And also, in hiring my first squad of people for opening that coffee shop, I'd have all them take that. And I know we're integrating it into our training as well at Valor. And so there's that side of it. We have a whole bunch of short videos that are all kind of more specific, exclusive content towards our service philosophies at Valor and team building stuff. And I just know that if you're running a coffee shop and you have people on your team, and you get people on your team to watch those videos, they're going to be more jacked up and ready to give their all at their job, not because they have to, not because they're just getting paid, but because they want to and they're inspired to do that. And so we're charging $7.99 a month, which is the cost of like an oat milk latte,
Frankly,
maybe with tip.
Wow.
Well, maybe with syrup with tip.
When you put it that way.
With tip. $7.99 a month. And yeah, if you sign up to that, you get access to all those things. We just recorded a whole bunch of new content that we're going to be adding in the next month or so. So top link in the description of this podcast. We'll see you on there. We try to be as active as we can on there. Ethan, I want to see a little more from you, I will say.
Hey, I've slipped just as much as Ethan.
Anyways, but
you don't want to see more from me?
And I'd like to see more from everyone.
Does it help that you have the app? Is it better when you have the app?
Yeah. And there's also an app. It's called Heartbeat Chat, I believe. And then all you do is you just select the community you want to be a part of once you're in the app, Valor Coffee community. So like I said, you can join for free at the link in the description, and then $7.99 a month for access to all of the courses and materials and resources, spreadsheets. We've got some really awesome ideas that aren't just ideas. They just need to be added to the community of different spreadsheets that we use to daily, weekly, monthly operate our business.
Yeah. The spreadsheets alone, I think if I would have had that starting out, it would have kind of changed things for us.
Yeah. And I was talking to someone yesterday who's starting a coffee shop, and I was telling him about this, and he was like, yeah, the last time I used Excel was like in 10th grade.
Yeah.
And turns out you really, really need spreadsheets to operate your business, everything. I mean, how often do you touch a spreadsheet as a coffee shop operator? You've probably got like 3 that you work from that kind of like are everything to the operation.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. We have our deposit sheets, our tip logs, we like to cost out our things. So I got to plug in all of our drinks and seasonal items in a cost breakdown. So it's active.
Right.
Yeah.
These are all things we'll be adding to the community along with a video describing how to use all of them. So those will all be available to you for $7.99 a month.
Love it.
Hey, Ross, thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Quick question.
Yeah.
If you had to get an oat milk latte with syrup, what syrup would you put in it?
For a Valor?
Whatever.
Hot or iced? Hot. I'm probably going to be trying whatever our seasonal is at the time, just because I always like to see what you guys are cooking up.
Or what Daniel's cooking up here.
Right. And what's that right now? Our seasonal?
Such a good question.
Still
Yep, fall spice. Fall spice. We do have a new holiday menu coming out next month-ish. Do you like to keep it secret?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I say next month-ish, that's secret enough?
I thought you meant like the contents of the menu. I definitely like to keep the date's fine. Yeah. The contents of the menu is what I like to keep secret.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We got some stuff coming out in November that will switch it up.
Wow, still vague.
And it might shock you what we have and don't have.
What coffees are we sipping on?
Yeah, such a good question. If you are a coffee purist, plug your ears, okay? Because, well, I brewed up 2 batches. One batch from the fellow XF was the Andres Cardone, I think, the winey Dayglow coffee. That is in the one with the lid. Haven't gotten to it personally yet, but I'm excited. And then remember we had that really sweet package from the coffee movement. They sent us 2 coffees, one from Doc, and I think it looked like one of their own because it said the coffee movement on the bottom. It also said like microdose, but that was a geisha, and both had the Doc, and that one had 15 grams left.
So you blended?
So I was like,
dude,
I'm gonna put these together.
I'm gonna tell you right now that it's good.
It's phenomenal.
It's really good.
It's phenomenal.
Because I was like, I mean, sorry to this coffee. I drank this one first, the winey one.
Yeah.
And then I drank this one and I was like, oh, this one's better.
I know, man. I mean, it's kind of like a nod to sometimes when we do blends, you know, like a
tan lines,
like a tan lines or swoon. We're putting like 2 dynamic coffees together and they don't clash. They complement.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I said, I remember tasting these coffees and I think they'll taste pretty good together. And something that helped, I think, was our friend Third Wave Water. Okay,
Wow.
I'm going to stop you right there. Third Wave Water. They're going to make it epic. Dude, we had someone come in, avid podcast listener, and he was like, do you sell Third Wave Water in the cafe yet?
We need to.
And I was like,
You're like, crap.
crap. I was like, see you at the roastery. I'll give you a pack. Not really. I was working. But you can buy Third Wave Water if you go to thirdwavewater.gov. I'm kidding. .com. Use code Valor for 15% off, and you first 5 orders every day get free cupping spoon and a water TDS meter.
I've been out at home, and I'm not gonna lie, I haven't looked forward to drinking coffee as much.
Like 60% less.
I look forward to drinking coffee 60% less when I don't have Third Wave Water at home. That's a fact.
I know we say it every time, but you know, this is more than an ad roll, guys. We really believe in this product.
Yeah.
And if you guys want to make epic Java at your casa, do yourselves a favor and run, don't walk to thirdwavewater.com.
You're such a genuine guy.
Yeah.
Would I lie? Now we are getting purchased by Nestle, and it's going to be a good thing.
JB Holdings.
JB Holdings is taking over. I'm just joking. Okay, well, guys, want to do it?
Let's do it.
I did have something else to say.
You want to do the thing that you wanted to say?
I wanted to do the thing that I wanted to say.
You're activated.
Which is go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
I want you to do it.
I was just gonna say I really like these cups.
Who made them, Riley?
Yield. I bought them from Monk.
Watch out.
It's one of my favorite. Like, they make some stuff, but they also
Curators.
resell some stuff. It's Jeff. He's a curator.
He's a curator.
He's been to the cafe. He's a Valor fan. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Does he live around here?
No, he lives in Pennsylvania. I think the company's in Pennsylvania, but his brother-in-law lives in town. Or brother. I'm sorry, Jeff, if you're listening.
Jeff.
But
He's listening.
yeah, they make some cool stuff, and I would love to do a collab blend with them. I'm doing the Lane Kiffin thing where you follow the one person on Instagram. So Jeff, I know I've mentioned it before, but if you want to do a collab coffee, let me know.
I'll say this. You've been talking about Jeff from Monk for
Years.
many years. We could be coming up on a decade.
I'm just a fan of the brand.
Okay.
It's a cool brand. They make cool little desk things.
Well, I wouldn't say that we're exactly haters, but I remember there's some times where people are like, what are you guys into? And we're just kind of like, I don't know. You know, we're just focused on our own thing. But it's nice of you. You really like Monk. That's awesome. Hey, I have something else to say. You guys remember when we went to visit Circle Coffee in Topeka, Kansas?
Don't recall.
I know.
What is coffee?
Yeah. We got a lot of coffee on that trip. Blackout coffee. the guy who worked there that wasn't there because he was traveling came to Valor yesterday.
No.
Jaden.
Jaden,
if you're listening, I know you are, bro. It was really nice meeting you. Guy walks in. I said, that guy looks like Elijah Knapp. Dresses like him too. And then he was like, I'm Jaden. I've known Elijah Knapp for a long time. We used to be friends.
checks out, huh?
And I said,
Interesting.
what the heck is going on?
You said, get out of
I said,
here.
what's in the water, man? So Jaden, thanks for coming by the cafe.
Thanks, Jaden.
Okay. Well, look here, guys. We just did an all staff, 2 weeks ago?
Yep.
And we kind of dropped a bomb on the team. We said, guys, we know that you're obsessed with our 5 core values as a company, and we know that you all know them. But
By heart.
we're going to simplify. And we changed our core values from 5 to 3.
That's right.
Why would we do that? You might be asking. Well, here's the thing. The all staff prior, we always do like a fun quiz, like hey, you get a reward, like you get a prize if you win. Sometimes it's really coffee based. Sometimes it's culture based, bar flow based. And this was like a culture quiz. And I was like, I wonder if people, we talk so highly, and maybe we have even, I would say, a reputation of like nice, culture-y, value-y coffee business. And I'm flattered. I'm honored, frankly. But I was
Some people think it's lame.
some people think it's lame.
That's fine.
That's fine. Pound sand. And I would do the orientations for the new people, and we'd go through all the stuff, and I'd be like, we don't want to just like talk about it now. We want to talk about it, every day while we're working.
The values.
The values.
Yeah.
And what I found out was that five is just frankly too much.
Do you think there was anyone in we have like 25 employees?
At that juncture, I think we were around 25, 30 employees. Yeah.
Do you think anyone knew all 5 of our values?
I thought that Paul Judy did. And then he told me that he could only remember 4. But I really feel like when I was like going through the quizzes,
Point remains, maybe one person.
Maybe one.
At one point knew all 5.
and I saw everybody kind of like putting out different verbiage that we say and do, see the one, be curious,
Excellence and empathy.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just like, I sat back and I was like, okay, I don't think this is like everybody else's fault.
Yeah.
I think we have a great team that is really bought into the how we roll, the culture of Valor. And I think that we have failed by not having the proper words and verbiage to match that. I think we had too much. Much too much.
Much too
You
much.
might say much too much.
Some are saying much too much. So what's kind of epic, I'm going to go on a little tangent here, guys, but
Go. We're there, man. I'm locked in.
what's hard is that, I knocked back.
I'm joking.
When you're starting a company, you're like, oh, I need to, maybe someone's like, hey, you need to get core values.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I'm going to come up with my core values right now. And then you're like, well, I don't have anything to draw from because I'm not a business. So it was kind of a cheat code when, 8 years into being a business, I was like, I want to reassess and like reimagine what we're about and kind of get some sharper, more, my hands, for the listeners, my hands are out here further and then I'm bringing them in closer.
Like a funnel.
Yeah, I'm condensing. And it was really a fun thing to be like, okay, I can look at our business and be like, I see the things that we're talking about. And I see the things that we're doing. And like the values are there. We just have to put words to them.
Can I just add to that real quick?
Please.
I think to put a finer point on what you're saying, you wanted to essentialize and like put into words something that was happening in our company.
Mm-hmm.
And that thing is very good. Like I don't think you would have been pushed or inspired to condense our values if things were not going well. Maybe you would have, but my point is that the culture right now, I think, is so good at Valor and healthy that all you have to do to find out what our core values are is look at what our current operating system is. Like what is our team valuing to their core right now? You know, because it's good.
Yep. Yeah. And then how do we create words and also vision to push that and encourage it? Because I think one of our favorite leadership motifs, if you will, comes from Danny Meyer. Gives this concept of constant gentle pressure, which is being consistent with your leadership, being gentle with your leadership, but always applying this pressure of growth, you know? So like seeing the good and being like, okay, this is the heart of it. How can we encourage it, motivate it, and then keep progressing it? So yeah, we took it. Honestly, I feel like when we started, I feel like we had like seven.
We had seven
values.
7 values.
And then maybe 3-4 years in, condense it down to 5.
That makes so much sense though, because at that time in your business, like you were alluding to earlier, you just think, what are all the things we want to be?
You're kind of throwing darts at a culture dartboard.
That's right. And you're like, yeah, I'll take some of that. We definitely want to be that. That also sounds good. Okay. And then you start to really put a finer point on your culture, and it really starts to mature into exactly what the Valor culture is. And then you can say, yeah, we still care about challenge the status quo. We still care about get your freak on. That used to be one of our values. But we could probably put that under grow together, or, you know,
Right.
we could boil it down a little bit more. So it makes sense.
Well said. Well said. And core values are just a part of this like cultural model. So we also have what's called a vision statement. We also have what's called a mission statement. And then we have core values. Do you think you can explain how all of those intertwine?
I would love to. Yeah. So do we want to go train?
Let's go train. All aboard.
Move toot. So we have this analogy that Ethan came up with. Man, you're just so smart.
You're the culture guru.
Yeah.
Wow. Thanks, guys.
Don't let it
Cultures
get to your
are.
head.
Okay.
So you have a train, okay? And go with me here. I'm not going to put up an illustration. Grayson is not going to put up an illustration. It's not going to happen.
Grayson, put up an illustration.
Please.
Just put up a picture of a train, Grayson. All right?
If you were going to.
If you were going to, just a picture of a train. So you have the train.
Okay.
It's just going to be like,
We're there. We're so there.
yeah. Train is on some tracks, okay? The train is going somewhere. You are the train. Your business is the train. We've totally said this before, but people are going to love it.
They need to hear it again.
Your business is the train.
Mm-hmm.
Let's think about where you're going. What is where you're going? That's your vision.
That's the vision.
Yeah. So for us, our vision is, and we've talked about workshopping the verbiage here a little bit. So just go with me whenever I say this. Okay. Matching the top 1% of coffee with the top 1% of experience. Okay. We've said experience because we have said customer service. However, I don't think that fully encompasses what we do, in the sense that we also ship coffee to people who are not close to us.
Sure.
There's customer service involved in that, but anyways, so that is our.
Hopefully, there shouldn't be too much. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Yes.
Customer support.
Yeah. So top 1% of coffee with the top 1% of experience. So whenever someone opens their box of coffee at home, it's a great experience. Whenever someone gets a drink at our cafe, it's a great experience. That's our vision. Our mission, okay, our mission is the fuel of the train.
That's right.
It's the coal that or steam. If it's a steam engine, what is a steam engine?
Or the one
you
where
know?
like magnets, like it's floating over the rail.
Electricity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's our mission. And our mission here is to uplift people through coffee.
Yeah.
Uplifting people through coffee. So That is what fuels us every day towards our vision. And then our values, they are the train track that keeps us on path to our destination, our vision. And now we have 3 of them. And just to talk about this whole condensed note, you say it all the time, Ross, that the confused mind does nothing.
That's right.
When people have to burn more calories to think about something, the less likely they are to do that thing.
Their KPIs go out the window.
Yeah, we think about that in terms of our website. Oh,
Sorry.
We think about that in terms of our website. We think about that in terms of our guest flow in our cafes, and now we're thinking about it in terms of our staff and their relationship to our values. When there's 10 values, it's going to be a lot harder to digest and understand than 3 values.
Yeah.
That's all.
Just to add one more thing to that, the mission, vision, and values, I often think of them as a trellis. Does anyone know what a trellis is here today?
I don't.
You guys hear me talk about it before, and you talk about it as well. But if you go to a vineyard where they're growing grapes to make into wine, or just to eat the grapes, it doesn't have to be wine.
Yeah. Welch's.
Maybe like a nice, like natty wine. There's so much beauty and growth and vines growing everywhere, right? But those vines and that growth and that fruit needs a structure to grow on. And you can't have the fruit without the structure. And the structure is the trellis, that wooden material, the structure that those vines are growing on. And that is exactly what our mission, vision, and values are. We are in a high turnover business. We do everything we can possibly do to limit turnover in our operations through good culture and through wise hiring. And literally everything we do is to limit turnover. So in a high turnover business, your team and your culture can just be whatever cast of humans you have working at your organization at a given time. So if you have a group A, maybe 1 year, your culture is just going to reflect group A on your team. Group B, the next year, your culture is just going to reflect that. You're always there, and that's nice. But wouldn't it be nice if you had some sort of evergreen structure that never changes? That's called your mission, vision, and values. And so you can hire and fire and give feedback and do all of your things and lead from that mission, vision, and values. And that's what keeps your culture growing fruit, the right fruit that you want.
That is really well said. And something that really touches on, I think, a thing that we've hit on before with coffee shops of like seasons, and we don't want to be afraid of the seasons, but we want to offer a same heart experience in every season, So it's like, yes, maybe 3 years ago, just about nobody that works in the cafes was there, but a guest was there probably 3 years ago, and they're going to come back this week.
Right. And
we want them to experience a really similar experience that just has a different beat to it. Culture's kind of like jazz.
Go there.
I'm joking. Because there is a really beautiful thing in the like type of people that we hire and the way that they like live that out authentically. And that's what's cool about when you have just 3 core values and like one goal and one power source as a mission, it leaves a lot of room for creativity and a lot of room for like individualism and expression. So there's a lot of different flavors, but we want the heart to be the same.
That's right.
Without further ado, I'm going to do a cursory overlook of the 3 values. And then I'm going to say something cool. So
stay tuned.
So stay tuned.
The end might shock you.
The end might shock you. Well, at the end, I just want to hit on how do you continue? How do you keep this in the limelight?
Yeah,
if you will,
at the core.
At the core, because we're not professionals at this just quite yet. But I'm trying a new thing at the head coach of Alpharetta. I'm going to let you guys in on at the end of this. So stay tuned.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I'm so locked in right now. My
Okay.
gosh.
Okay. So
Ooh.
the first value is one that didn't change.
That's right.
Put empathy into action. Why do you think, Riley, it didn't change through thick and thin?
Well, I think that is the first value because actually that one has changed. That's the thing since the beginning. So that's the first one that we kind of workshopped into this new format that we are now doing with all of our other values, because that value used to be excellence and empathy long ago. I mean, that's something we still say, but it helps a lot with your values to, I almost said verbalize. That's not the verbize. Verbize them.
Digize.
Yeah. And so the action of empathy, because empathy is one thing. We talk about it, you know. Empathy is you're standing at your register, you're looking at the door, and there's a mom coming in with a stroller, and she's having a hard time getting through the door, and you look at that situation and you said, man, that must be really hard. That's empathy. But putting empathy into action is like, I'm going to stop what I'm doing right now and go help her get through the door. So I think we just wanted to give a little bit more clarity to it. And then also we were pairing that with excellence in that sense. But like those are the two components of our vision.
Right.
So it made more sense to give each thing more kind of footing of its own value within our core values. And anyways, to answer your question of why that one hasn't changed, it has changed. Jerk.
I think another reason it hasn't changed is
Has or hasn't.
well, it's been the longest standing value.
Yeah.
Certainly more than the other two. I think another reason it hasn't changed is it is very easily applied to every department. It's very easily applied to if someone gets a box of free throws shipped to their house across the country. Putting empathy into action in that moment is if I received a box of coffee, my first time order, and I opened that box, what would I want from that experience? And so that fuels things like, you know, in everyone's first order, they get a Polaroid picture of the crew here hanging out because we want to put a very personal touch on every first order because that's expressed in our cafes as well. And it's the same value that breeds both of those not even policies, but just ways of doing business. And it's essentially just loving your neighbor as yourself. It's essentially just that, putting empathy into action.
Well said, brother. Yeah, maybe the most succinct way we've been saying it, as well as anticipating and meeting needs before they're even communicated. And that really relates to like how we structure the business, you know, like how we want to make space for our guests, how we want to provide things for our wholesale partners, for e-commerce like experience is like, man, what is this person? What would really take this above and beyond? And that's something we use a lot, saying, you know, like, okay, we're seeing what maybe the need is, but how can we over meet it? Because that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Some other quickies about put empathy in action that we usually touch on are like how much we try to value the first impression of a space. You know, I think that was something that was really core to us. Yeah. Is what it's like to walk into a coffee shop because they're so cool and they're so elite in a word that we're like, we want to be a really inviting, welcoming space that's like recognizing people, letting them know they're in the right spot.
That's right.
We want to be curious. I think you can't discern needs without a little dash of curiosity, a little splash, a little flavor of having like an eyes up mindset where you're looking out at the people and you're like, what's going on? Yeah. You can't be in your own world and meeting needs before they're communicated, but that demands curiosity. And then I think kind of in that, we got to see the one. That's something we talk about a lot as well. Seeing the one is like, I mean, I think in just about all phases of our business, it's a very volume, monotonous flair to it, in that, like, the cafes are making tens of thousands of drinks a day.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. But we're making a lot, and so it's easy to slouch on 1 or 2 or 3
Or one wholesale order,
or one
e-commerce order.
Yeah, or 1 podcast episode.
Yeah, sure. Clearly not this one.
No. But knowing, like, okay, every individual item is pretty much solely for one person.
Right.
Like, I'm not ordering 16 lattes, and it's going to be like a cumulative score or assessment.
That's right.
But like, if my cup the milk is overheated and underfilled, it's like, this was terrible. But I mean, like, net score could have been pretty high for whoever's making those bevies. And same for, like, this might hit close home for you baristas out there, but like, when you have a really tough interaction with somebody and then you let that carry over to the next guest, and you're like basically devaluing that person behind that other person who's just like catching that. And I'm like, dang, that stinks.
Yeah.
So we need to be like talking about what to do in those situations, because those will happen, and talking about how to prevent them. That's a little overview on put empathy into action. Is there anything that you guys want to say about that?
In the curiosity bit, we have to hire people who believe that the people that they serve are worth discovering. They are worth our curiosity. And that is huge, not only to the guest, and we'll get to this later in another value, but internally in the team as well. And another one of our values, grow together, speaks to that, and we could transition to that really nicely.
Perfect.
But if I don't believe that someone walking in the door is worth discovering, and if I don't believe that they're interesting and that we might have something in common, and if I'm just like, well, I'm clocked in right now and I'm getting paid and I'm supposed to smile and be nice, so I'll just be like, hey, how can I take your order? That's not putting empathy into action, even though it is like surface level nice. It's not empathy necessarily. And we don't have to learn everyone's life story whenever we take their order. That's not what I'm saying. But we do have to believe that each person has immense dignity, value, and worth, and they're worth curiosity.
Well said. That got me thinking about, it's so important to distinguish yourself so that when you're bringing on the right people, you can find things like this, where it's not bad if there's a coffee shop that wants to take your order.
Right. Yeah.
In a cordial manner,
Yeah.
We're just trying to connect with people and like be curious about our guests' lives. That's like a thing that we're choosing to step into.
Yeah. That's why you have core values. And I love the self-checkout at Kroger.
Sure.
I love it. It's quick, it's easy, it's a good user interface. I enjoy it. Most times I enjoy it better than someone who checks me out who seems like they're having a terrible time at work. I'd rather a machine do it. So there's that, but we're choosing to like prioritize this value in our business.
What about Trader Joe's though? Maybe go to
Trader Joe's is electric.
You go through the line.
Yeah.
And they're very interactive, seemingly very happy. That's a different situation. And like we're talking about here, like they're choosing to press into that.
It actually seems like it's their joy to bag your things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so you don't want, like, do you want a self-checkout at Trader Joe's?
I don't want that. I want to talk to them.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that part of the experience.
Mm-hmm.
Riley, that was an epic connection.
Yes.
In the grocery store.
Oh, yes.
Like,
give me another industry. I've got this.
Insurance.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. So the second core value is grow together. That came from the combination of one of our values, which was better together, and hunger for growth, which I think are both very epic. But I think there's such a deeper power when we put them together.
Yeah.
We're not trying to like see people individually just like run past everybody on the team, but we are so team oriented, and we want to see them all grow in tandem, and we always talk about how we truly are better together when we're able to recognize the superpowers in a team and like let those strengths and weaknesses cover each other instead of, be at odds with one another. And that is so much easier said than done.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I think we all know what it's like when someone has these superpowers, but maybe they really lean on them and they really don't step into their weakness, and they're not like finding balance in their work, because you want the superpowers to cover each other, but then you also need to be on a trajectory of growth in your weakness. It's kind of like when people used to talk about the Enneagram a lot. People are always like, I'm this number, like, I'm this type of person. But the whole point of the Enneagram was like, the whole point is to recognize where you're at and then try to like find balance and like get better at the stuff that you now have learned that you're kind of bad at.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really cool aspect of teamwork lending itself to growth in the workplace. And that is definitely my favorite thing about Valor is people joining our team for their allotted season. And they grow and they're better off, and then they leave and they're like changed and encouraged because they were able to work in an environment that empowered them, supported them, challenged them, pushed them, and let them grow.
Yeah. And then those people go and affect their circles after Valor. They become better friends, become better sons, daughters, husbands, wives. And that's huge. And the impact of what happens here, and not just at Valor, but when you're listening, anywhere you're at, you have a circle of influence, and those people have circles of influence. And we have the opportunity, nay, the duty to impact people in the right way. And the impact of your impact is immense.
Mm-hmm.
And no better place to do that. I mean, maybe there is, but doing that at work, people spend a lot of time at work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the revelation for us that, this industry, just there's like a 90% chance that someone's not going to be a 98% chance that someone's not going to be a career barista.
Yeah.
So either they grow with the company into a different position, or they eventually go and do something else that's aligned with their passion. And that was like hard to stomach, and it maybe like even made us discouraged or sad for a while that turnover is inevitable. Mm-hmm. But coming to the realization that they are very likely to go do something else that's amazing then fuels our appetite for helping them become better at that thing, their superpower, and become more balanced with their weaknesses. So that's cool.
It's very cool. One cool aspect of that is it all really necessitates communication, feedback, and vulnerability, which I think are really three core lifelong like pillars that you can step into whatever you're going to do next. It's not just like I learned how to do latte art at Valor, but it's like I learned how to step into conflict and have a calm feedback conversation. I learned how to be vulnerable with my team when I wasn't doing well and communicate my needs. It's kind of big stuff.
Huge stuff.
Huge stuff, some would say. And we're catching people at such a pivotal time in their lives, stepping into like independent adulthood,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for me, like working at Valor and being a part of this culture has made me into a better father. and a better husband. And you think about like the building blocks of a society being, family is huge, a huge part of that, and that's, if I have a healthy family, then it's like, that's a huge impact on where you live and the people you're around, having a happy, healthy family. And if you didn't have a happy, healthy family growing up, you have the opportunity to help other people build happy, healthy families or friend groups or little microcosms through your work. I mean, how amazing is that? It's not just coffee. It's not just taking people's money and, making drinks and doing inventory, although it is all that too. And growing together has been a huge part of like how I communicate and how much patience I have and having a hunger for growth. Like these are all things that like just make wonderful people in a society.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that transitions well to our third value, which I just kind of realized is like it's like the stewardship value. It's cool to care is what it's called. And I think that's like that other really, 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 really key piece that like I really want people to learn how to take with them. And I am continue to learn myself wherever they go is like how to steward something you've been given, and that's where we talk a lot about that eyes up philosophy of not just finding whatever minimum standard to not get yourself fired at a job is and then execute that, but having the awareness to like always be seeking to go above and beyond, always having your eyes up, externally assessing the people and atmosphere around you and figuring out like how you can take care of your like domain with as much like professionalism and care and like intention as possible. And I think we all definitely know when someone's like got it, and that's one thing. Like if you just hire someone and they're like, oh, okay, they really care. Like they really want to steward this space well. And they really do like believe that we have entrusted it to them, which we totally have. And then it's also like amazing to see that journey of someone who maybe isn't living that out, but through those people, through just like leaning on that culture, they start to understand like, oh, this is on me. Like I do have power here and I can like execute my like stewardship in this place. And I have ideas and people want to listen to me and people like care that I care. And we're like encouraging that. And that's where stuff like challenge the status quo, which was a value, really fits in nicely of like, yeah, rip it apart. Like let's talk about what could be better. This isn't like the Ross Riley Ethan show where it's our way or the highway. We like thrive on the epic ideas of our team. Yeah. And I really felt this one when I would just like get on base camp. I would just like totally not me involved. There's just like people spitting out like ideas and solutions and ideas on base camp about like stuff. And I'm like, why are you guys talking about this? You're not getting like extra money for like talking about this. And it's like, well, we want our space to be awesome. We want this thing to be something special. And I'm like, dang, y'all got it.
Yep. Yeah, with this value, I always think about several conversations I've had over the years, and I'm sure listeners have had similar ones where you're talking to someone about their job, and maybe you ask them about their boss, and they're like, "Yeah, that boss, like, he was really cool. Like, he didn't really get on to me much. He was a cool boss." And so, okay, what do you mean by cool boss? It means that like, maybe that boss didn't really push you. Like that boss was so chill, just like kind of let us like vibe and hang out. Like that boss was cool because like he let me be on my phone, whenever I was working at Smoothie King or whatever. That's why I liked him. He was cool. Like we want to create an environment where everybody in on this thing is like in on this thing. And it's cool to care here. Mm-hmm. It's not cool to be on your phone behind the bar. It's not cool to, like you said, just fall to whatever the minimum standard is so that you don't get fired. It's not cool just to, I'm thinking about at a restaurant, like waiting tables just to make the tip on the table. Like, you're serving a table and they're kind of being a jerk to you at the table, but you kind of push through, and then afterwards you just in the back room complaining about it to the rest of the team. That's not cool. And it's only cool in places where it's cool. I don't know if you follow that, but it's just like it's all pointing to the collective consciousness of what that culture is. Is it cool to care there, or is it not? And all the values play into each other. I think cool to care and grow together really play into each other, because it being cool to care is only in reference to all the other people around you. It's not even just about yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm. You got any thoughts on cool to care?
Man. Yeah, I think, this area is the one where you just have to be maybe the most proactive out of all of them. And it's because it's really, really easy to get stagnant with it's cool to care. If you don't kind of look at things and blow them up essentially, and then replace it with this idea that's going to, maybe people won't even notice it, but it's going to change their experience. I was thinking about this with our mailers recently, to kind of flip this again away from the cafe towards like an e-commerce experience. We just have white mailers, like that's like the boxes that our coffee goes in. And, we fill them, we try to do the best with those that we can. Custom tape, put things inside of them, like Polaroid pictures for first-time orders, handwritten notes, etc. But taking that concept and being like, how can we make this experience the best unboxing experience that someone could have for coffee? So, maybe we make and then it's a funny balance, because it's like you don't want to be wasting paper essentially, but the thought of, someone opens it and then there's like the boxes are in these inserts, and like there's a little slot to like cut out. That's where the Polaroid goes, like those like business card like cutouts inside of things. And it's like everything like perfectly fits in there. Those sorts of things are so easy to just kind of like let be at the side. And it's like, our mailers are fine. Our kilo bags are fine. They're ordered less than the 5-pound bag and the 10-ounce bag, so they don't need to be custom.
Yeah. And they are fine.
Yeah, and it is fine.
Yeah.
But it's like we're not trying to be fine. We're trying to be the top 1%. So, so how can we take all of those things that are fine or even good and make them like the best?
Big time. Yeah, and it's cool to care was kind of the combination of one of our core values, which was details matter, which is kind of what you're speaking about. Like, man, let's get picky about the mailers. Let's get picky about the latte art. Let's get picky about drink presentation. Let's get picky about how the pastries are organized in the pastry case with the right signs, because all those little decisions kind of elevate us to that vision that we want to achieve. And so, yeah, just imagine you were just at our all staff and you heard all that and you're like, yeah, woo, I'm fired up.
Yeah,
sure. And it's like, all right, tomorrow. And it's like the next day. And then you're like, yeah. And it's the next day. And then you're like, yeah, we had our all staff a couple weeks ago. It was fun. It was good.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, well, that was that. It's like, okay, how do we keep that momentum? That fickle friend, Uncle Mo. How do we keep him right? How do we keep him around? That's what they call momentum.
Uncle Mo.
Our fickle friend, Uncle Mo. Yeah.
Well, I like that.
Yeah. Well, so what we did, we got little breakout groups. This is where we get kind of corporate-y. And I'm like, how do I
Decorporatize.
How do I like take the good as far as like structure, the trellis model, and like not get like lame? Because when you get lame, or when you get, I don't know, whatever is a more healthy word than me just saying something's lame, but you want to like keep that hype for your team and not like make it burdensome. You want to apply pressure, but not burdens. Anyways, so we were like, all right, let's, for the next 3 months, let's really work and focus and figure out like, what does it look like to employ and grow in putting empathy into action. So we got into groups and we're like, guys, like, so, Dunwoody's with their squad, the Alpharetta squads together, Roastery squads together. We're like, how do you guys want to do this? Like what's going on the front lines? When you think about all this stuff, like what are those little things that are coming to mind? And so we like write them all down and we're like, okay, yeah, we're going to work on this and this and this and this and this. And so I charted it out. I got like a theme for every week for the next 3 months. And I'm going to I put the outline in Basecamp and I'm like, this is it. Tomorrow, this is the week of cleanliness. And we're going to grow in and we're going to have what we call plays of the day, like daily focuses as well, that all revolve around cleanliness, which all promote putting empathy into action because people want to be in a clean space, And the next week is understanding our coffees better for like communication. And so all the focuses and plays of the days and debriefs will have that flair to it of like, how does this relate to us better understanding our coffees for our guests? And then we have 11 of those.
Yeah.
That was the thing that I'm trying.
I love that.
Really?
What I love about that is you can't just say, all right, guys, in the next 3 months, let's put empathy into action, ready, break. You need bite-sized, let's get 1% better today at this specific thing. Even just saying, guys, let's get better 1% today. It's too vague. It has to be like, at what? In what way? Because I'm going to focus on that one thing, and then I'm going to keep doing that one thing after today, after I figure out what it is. Because I can get 1% better today. It's really hard to just be like, let's transform the company and be really awesome every day. Like that's way too vague. And then you've got all these specific themes, and then if you focus on each one of them and you're 1% better at each one of them, all of a sudden at the end of 3 months, you're like, dang, I feel like we've really improved.
Kind of epic.
Like I feel like we've really put empathy into action in a really potent way since the last all staff. And then you have a chance to celebrate all of those things and recap them. And then it reinforces those things that you move forward with. And then it just perpetuates more and more and more growth, because it's fun to grow whenever you celebrate the little wins. Like it's less fun to grow whenever you just had this behemoth of a concept of like, let's be better, or like,
we still have 4 years,
right? Yeah,
to get to the top.
That's not as fun.
Yeah,
because we have a huge vision. Some are saying it's not possible of having the top 1% of coffee in the world with the top 1% of guest experience, customer experience. That's huge, and we need a North Star to point towards. But you also need all these little stops along the way to continue to celebrate the little wins.
Yeah, 2 little thoughts around that. 2 tiny, just nothing thoughts.
Maybe don't even
everybody
say them.
just feel free to tune out for a second. It's so cool that I love collaboration. I'm just such a collaborative guy. So knowing that like these things that we're choosing to step into came out of the mouths of the people that are going to do it. And that's something that I really loved about like health checks and other things that our good friend Lillaby would always do, is be like, instead of just giving the feedback, be like, what feedback do you have for yourself?
Yeah.
Like, how do you want to grow? And it's usually like the exact thing that you're thinking,
Ethan, that's not a small thought.
Really?
No, it's not.
It's big.
I think that is key or even core
Right.
to this whole thing. If you're the boss and you're like, my team's underperforming, I'm in charge. It's my job to fix it. What do I do? Tell them to get better. Okay, that'll work. No, not really. Like the collaboration in trying to harvest the gold out of each person that's sitting there who's actually going to be doing this stuff. Like I feel like you got to do that.
Yeah, and then this is a little bit more real talk, but the other thought was, if you're assessing your team, this is such a key area to identify the people that are not on board. Because if you don't have plans and if you don't have growth focuses and you don't have like a thing that you're heading to, it's really hard to identify someone that like isn't a good fit because they're just floating around too. And you're just floating around, but you're just floating around in a different area and you don't like that they're floating around over there.
Yeah.
But when you're like, okay, everybody, we're going this way. And then one person's like, no. And then you're like, it doesn't seem like you want to do this, so let's not do this.
Yep.
Or hey, seems like you don't want to do this. Why? Blah, blah, blah. Do you want to do this? Yeah, I want to do this. All right. Now it's better.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna get results either way. But I think that it's kind of key. I think a lot of people and leaders and businesses, especially in our industry, need to hear that.
Absolutely.
So having like a growth trajectory can like identify who's in, who wants it,
Absolutely.
Wrapping this thing up, before we go, I wanted to mention something as a subject change, and those were all fantastic thoughts. We are essentially challenging ourselves here. Okay, this is an internal challenge that you, the listener viewer, get to watch. We are trying to destroy the top listings on Google for catering in Atlanta and in Georgia. We're trying to get up there ourselves. And we are
with SEO.
Yes, with SEO.
We're not trying to destroy them.
No, we are trying to be there.
Yeah.
And we rank well in some areas. We don't rank well in other areas. So we are partnering with Localize. Our good friend Kent, he's been on the program in the past. He's probably in the next room because he's here all the time because we like him. And they are going to help us do keyword research and kind of tailor our pages around ranking. Because especially in the catering department, a lot of times people go to Google and type in coffee catering near me, and that's how they find who they're going to use. So just wanted to say that as we are going to report back as we go along about how they are helping us do that. And if they don't, then that's damning for them.
We'll say it.
But if they do, then it's proof of concept. And the cool thing with all this is that if you want to get a little price off their services, you can go to localizegrowth.com/valor and get 50% off website services and 20% off 50% off new website services and 20% off recurring SEO services.
Yeah. So what that might look like is if you're starting a new business, you get 50% off them helping you build a website.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to help you avoid a lot of headaches that you probably would have messed up.
If you do it right from the beginning, your SEO is already going to have a leg up.
Yeah. And then 20% off recurring, tweaks along the way. And who knows? They're the experts.
Yeah. You're talking backlinks.
Gosh. Yeah.
Other stuff.
Keywords.
KPIs. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of KPIs that help.
Mostly KPIs.
So anyways, check them out. You guys are checking them out. I'll say I've been hearing about it. So just know that if you're on the fence and you're like scared to do it, your friends in the Valor Coffee podcast community are doing it.
Just tell them the Valor boys sent you.
Yeah. Which you can also do by just visiting localizegrowth, EYES.com/Valor.
Valor.
Yeah.
All right, guys. This podcast is over.
What a great time.
Thank you guys for being on my podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for having me as a guest.
I'll see you guys next week.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Lord willing.